Hello, everybody, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. We're here for round number 9 of 10. We're nearly there for this season now here in Australia, the Albert Park circuit that people can't really seem to agree whether it's a street circuit or not, but it doesn't really matter to us. It's a great track, and I'm very much looking forward to the race today. The Drivers' Championship may already be wrapped up by X-Trek, but the constructors is still in the balance, even if Mercedes have the significant advantage over the Saubers. But it's still on, and there's plenty of opportunity for someone else to take a victory other than the champion of this season. I'm here in the commentary box with my co-commentator, as usual this season, two-time Tier 2 champion, Lawrence. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you, Ghost. How are you doing?
I am not too bad at all. It's looking like a good lead up to this race. People have asked for midday in the session for the sort of live in-game time for the session due to the shadows at some corners, so that's why the lighting isn't in the evening light as it usually is in Australia qualifying. Primeval says that X-Trek's time trial is frightening, but he has said he is going to run no line for the last two rounds now that he's wrapped up the championship, so we'll see if that affects him on what is, I believe, his favourite track here in Australia. So if there are going to be effects from him using no line, we may not see them today, but who knows, Lawrence?
Yeah, well, speaking from experience, we might see a slight change to his qualifying pace. I know he's not. He's got a couple of poles this season. We might see a possible difference in qualifying, but I'd imagine after a few laps under race pace, if this is his favourite track, he will be on form pretty quickly.
Indeed, and we don't know how good he is going to be under racing line. We don't even know if he kept his promise and if whether he's driving with the racing line or not now. But he's coming through turns 1 and 2 now. There's a few other people on laps as well. RJ in the Alpine for today is on a lap, but Triku Bidayak, I think, is going to be the first driver to attempt to set a lap. He's gone through Sector 1. It's a 26.8, so that's something to compare everyone else to as the driver from the Czech Republic heads towards turns 9 and then 10 and 11, the infamous turn 10 and turn 11. Actually easier to navigate this year than in some previous editions of the F1 game, I think. But Triku into the last sector, those seemed pretty well navigated, but he has used pretty much all of his ERS already in this lap. Those 16% left as he brakes for turn 13 and into the last few corners for the Aston Martin driver. Looks like he is going to set a valid lap time, although this last corner can easily trip people up, but he's just about got through okay and uses all the rest of his battery down to the line. It's a 17.0 to start us off. What about RJ as he comes over just behind? It's 2/10 off, and then it is our champion-elect X-Trek who's actually gone into the pits as he's invalidated.
Yeah, I was on board with X-Track just to see if I was going to get any sort of idea if he was running racing line. I don't think he is. He invalidated on the chicane on the right, just going over the right curve a bit too much, and then almost dropped it coming out of turn 12.
Interesting info. Thank you, Lawrence. Aces, meanwhile, goes to P2 in the V-Carb. Sumo Gilligan is slotted into P4 in the meantime, with Antone down in 5th. We've got some support for Dennis in the chat, who I'm assuming is Denko IGP, one of our newbies from last week, who had a very decent debut, actually, in the Aston Martin. So good to see he's got some support in the chat. Season 9 Tier 2 champion Jonathan has just joined the lobby, so we'll see how well he can do today. But Enchilada Dad goes to P3 the man who's gunning for P2 in the Drivers' Championship this season, and Robsu, the guy who is currently there, down in 9th place so far in this qualifier session, but he hasn't used any ERS on that lap by the looks of things. So I think there's more to come from the Finn. But right on board with Denko as he heads into the last sector.
Yeah, Denko just heading into turn 11 now, clips the apex nicely. He's a bit low on ERS, he's burnt a little bit there. Take it around the right-hander, clip the curb on the left, get the car back over to the right, hit the apex on this left-hander, a little bit too deep on the entry there, but comes out, opens the DRS, bolts down to the start-finish line, and he will sit in P9. Has Triku done it again? He's looks like he's a spicy lap on his first run like he did last week.
He has indeed, yeah. It's interesting effort from Triku. He's out again, by the way, on the same set of tyres. We'll see if he's improving or not. He is by half a tenth in Sector 2, and Triku Bidayak could be a dark horse for pole position here. He's had a few flashes of brilliance, hasn't he, this season, but never has he really been in the conversation for pole position come the end of a qualifying session. But today that could be different, as the Czech driver comes to the last couple of corners. He bins it though. Oh dear, Triku just about avoids DNFing from the session and gets his way into the pit lane, but yeah, that was not the ideal ending to his lap, but we know he's got a lot of improvement in him as Womack heads into the pits, having not managed to set a lap, and Jacko coming through Sector 1 at the moment. He is on a hot lap in that V-Carb car. 26.8 is about equal with what Triku did in that first sector.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much on par with Triku. I believe Jonathan is also having issues taking control of his Sauber car.
That's okay. I thought he was taking control of a Red Bull. I thought his car was Red Bull.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry. Who have I got Jonathan mixed up with? Who's not here?
Tia,
that's the one. Sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, I don't know why it won't let you take control, Jonathan. But Jacko comes into the final sector now. ERS and DRS is going to be deployed down this home straight, I should say. Is it going to be pole position for the Season 10 champ? No, it's P4, and still Triku's time survives. Robsu improves to P7, but it's still nearly half a second off that pole time. Drogon's starting a lap. Extrek is on a lap as well. He's coming into the last sector. JB also on, but he's 3/10 down in Sector 1 on Triku, so JB not quite on his previous qualifying form. Here comes Extrek. Is it going to be good enough for pole position? Yes, it is. A 16.851 from the champion on his favourite track. And that is going to take some beating. His teammate Cavalis is on a lap in Sector 1 at the moment as well. Drogon 26.7 in Sector 1. That's really, really fast from a driver who's been struggling a whole bunch this season.
Yeah, Drogon's yet to find any sort of form so far this year, but that's a very strong first sector. I haven't clocked his second sector time, but hopefully he's going to be in the ballpark. It looks quite a tight field at the moment. Extrek has pulled out a little gap on everyone, and a bit of oversteer there from Drogon. He's fighting the car quite a lot.
Yeah, that would have cost him a few tenths at least. He comes through the final corner, but this could have been a lot better from Drogon. But that little mistake at turn 13, I think, is going to be costly. Wow. No, it's not. Wow. Drogon, who's been at the bottom of the standings the whole season, goes on to provisional pole with a 16.7 after a mistake at turn 13 that I would say cost him 2, 3, 4 tenths. That is absolutely outrageous from the Italian. And is this a glimpse of the Drogon early last season before he broke his thumb, where he was challenging for wins every week?
Well, we know Drogon's got time in his back pocket now, so game on. If Extrek can go better, I'm quite sure Drogon has got time in the bank as well to lay down the gauntlet to him.
Indeed. We've also got Krauser on a lap in the Ferrari at the moment. I don't know if it's... No, I don't think it's a competitive lap time. I think this is going to be into the pits for Krauser. No, he's going through the last corner, but I don't know how competitive it's going to be. Actually, I think I might have misread how fast that clock was going up. It is still a competitive lap time, and it's a big improvement from Krauser, but it's only up to P11, just ahead of his teammate for now, which is not the order that we're used to seeing the Ferraris in this season. Womack's coming into Sector 2 at the moment as well, the Bulgarian reserving today, as Jonathan also reserving today in the Red Bull. He has managed to get himself in the session. So we'll see how well he does. Denko needs to find an improvement. He's sitting down in 15th, last place of the drivers who set a lap. And Xtrek has confirmed in the chat he's going without racing line as Enchilada improves big time while we weren't watching to P3. But it's still just about behind Xtrek for now. Triku Badayak, another invalidation for him. Aces not improving. Antone also not improving. Sumo's invalidated. He's got the Ferrari of Krauser behind, who's not on a lap. Not a lot of drivers on competitive laps right now. Denko, I think, is the only one. As I say that, Womack goes to P4 and announces himself as a contender for this qualifying session. And Denko into the last sector now.
Yeah, Denko's just going into the last sector. He's just gone around turn 11, 12. He's kept the car smooth and straight there. No wheel spin kicking up. A lot of traffic coming up ahead. Will it work to his advantage, or will he get a slipstream? I don't think he will. He's just got to keep it clean now. Enable the ERS, open the DRS flap, stick to the left-hand side, and there we go. He's up to P13, and that is the top 14 under a second of the pole position.
Yeah, very, very close times out there. And good improvement from Denko as Jonathan comes through into the last sector now. The Red Bull driver, the Season 8, I think it was Season 8 champion in that amazing season where it was all four championship contenders battling for the win in the season finale in Austria. Jonathan goes to P9, just 4.5 tenths behind the pole sitter of Drogon, who has surprised everyone. I think it's a huge shock to the grid to see him on provisional pole, and I don't know if it's going to be a shock to Drogon as well, whether he expected this or not, but I'm rooting for him because he's had a horrible season so far, and if this is the turnaround in his fortunes, then it will lead him well into season 14 next year.
Yeah, Drogon's biggest enemy is himself, really. It's just consistency. Whenever he has shown good pace in the past, he's just always made a mistake here, and costly.
Sumo Gilligan goes to provisional pole. Sorry to cut you off, Lawrence, but that is out of nowhere from Sumo, who was sitting down in 13th or 12th, I think it was, before that lap. And it just shows you how much time these drivers still have left in the bank today. RJ's on a lap right now. A lot of drivers on laps. Jonathan has invalidated. So has Robsu. What about JB? He's really far down, but that's a half-second improvement. A 26.6 in Sector 1 is absolutely rapid. It's coming to the end of Sector 2 now. Is it going to be similar improvement? Yeah, still 4.5 tenths up for JB. If he can nail this final sector, he'll be well higher up the grid, possibly into the top 10 if he can get another tenth or two into the last few corners now. Turn 13, the reprofiled corner as of a couple of years ago. Some would say easier, some would say harder to navigate, but JB into the last couple corners now. Through the final corner, got plenty of ERS to deploy down to the line as well. DRS open on the Ferrari. He heads to the line. It's looking very good, but it's not quite good enough, actually. Half a second off pole, but it is into the top 10, an identical time to Jonathan for now. What about RJ? 2.5 tenths up for the American driver as he heads into the final corner. Drogon's on a lap now as well. He's currently sitting on the front row. Here comes RJ. Is it good enough to challenge for pole? Oh, it is, but it's not quite enough for now, but these laps are coming thick and fast now. There's a Sauber who's coming through now. I think that's Enchilada, but he's on an out lap. Who's going to be the next to cross the line for a lap? Not Robsu. He's invalidated. 3.5 minutes to go in this session. Still plenty of time as Cavalis comes through. Big improvement for the Lithuanian through sector 2, but a big slide out of the penultimate corner and the final corner will have cost him plenty of time. How much has it cost him? About 0.2 in the end, but he does improve to P15, and that, Lawrence, is every single driver on the grid now within a second.
That is incredible. Hopefully Drogon can get back into the lobby before the session's out. But yeah, what a tight field we've got. This is absolutely amazing. It's a short lap time. It's only 1 minute 16.
Rain! I just saw raindrops. I think.
Wow. Could this dictate the rest of the grid?
Were my eyes deceiving me? I can't see them now. I swear I saw a big splurge of rain in the middle of the screen.
I think it is raining. Yes, it is raining.
Yes, it is raining. It is, and that could be it. That could be Sumo Gilligan on pole position for the first time in a 18-minute qualifying session. I believe his previous two have been in one shot, but I'm not sure about the first one. But wow, what a turn up for the books this could be. Enchilada though takes it out the bag with a lap right at the death just as it starts raining. A 16.4, surely unbeatable now that the conditions have changed. That is a monstrous lap time from the Irishman, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to beat that. Womack is going to be next to cross the line. He comes through. Extrek starting a lap. Surely the track won't be grippy enough for him. Womack to the line. Oh, it's a slight improvement, but only enough for P5. Alex G as well coming through into the final sector. Oh, a big slide though. The track is losing grip with every extra second they spend on the track, and the Ukrainian comes through the final corner. What can he do? DRS Open loses grip on the exit again, and oh, it's an improvement by 1.5 tenths, but it's only one position gained. P12 for the McLaren driver, and I would be really surprised if anyone else improved here. Jonathan finding some time in the middle sector, but he's in the wall out the final corner, and that's going to be that for his qualifying session. What about Jack Alako coming through the final corner? No, he's into the pits, and that is going to be it for qualifying. Surely no one will improve now that the rain is out. X-Trek is 2.5 tenths down. Tier joins just in time to drive in the race. As long as he can get into the session in time, it'll be close. He's got to be quick, but he won't have time to set a lap, so he will start from 18th, which will mean this whole grid is going to be a Sauber sandwich, and X-Trek crashes over the line and retires, and he could be in a bit of trouble for that, but we'll see from the stewards later on. Triku comes round, the man who was on pole position for much of this session, but I don't think an improvement coming for the Czech driver, no, but only 300ths down, so he had a lot of time in him. So he'll be disappointed in the end with P7, I think.
Sorry, just a quick note. Did Drogon get back into the lobby? I
don't know.
I'll see if I can fire him an invite.
Yeah, I'll see if I can fire him one as well. I sent him once, see, hopefully he can get back in. But wow, what a qualifying session, a real twist to the tail in the last few minutes there. But Enchilada out of absolutely nowhere. When the rain came down, we all thought that was surely the session done and no one was going to be able to improve, but he finds 3-4 tenths and puts it on pole by some margin. What a performance that is.
Thank you, Enchilada Dad. Just saved me absolute ear bashing from Sumo.
Oh dear. Well, that is astonishing from the Sauber driver, and that is a point for me in the prediction championship as well. So thank you from both of us, Enchilada, for that. Sumo in the chat says rain at the wrong time, and yeah, it was right at the end of the session. I do wonder how many of the drivers knew it was going to rain, and how many it's sprung a surprise on. But yeah, that's a very interesting quali session, and I think the biggest shock though of all is FCRL Drogon on the second row, Lawrence.
Yes, like you said, it's a great turn in fortune. Can he deliver now in the race? He needs to keep it consistent. He has got the pace to be fighting for the podium. It's just all about hopefully. Well, it all depends how the race is going to pan out. Will we have rain in the race? We do not know until the race unfolds.
Indeed, we don't, but it's Enchilada Dad on pole position. The 16.478. Sumo Gilligan lines up on the front row with him with FCRL Drogon, a huge quali session for him in P3. RJ in P4. Wumax and Extrek make up row 3 with Triku disappointed in the end, I think, with P7, and then Aces in P8. Jacko and JB make up row 5. Jonathan and Alex row 6 after Jonathan's dramatic crash at the end. Antone and Robsu row 7. Robsu down in 14th, by the way. And then Cavalis, Denko and Krauser, the rest of the drivers setting times very close up and down the grid. And Tier will start from the back after joining late in the session. But I'm very much looking forward to this, Lawrence. This is going to be quite some race, I think.
Yes, I think DRS is going to be key round here. Staying within the second of the car in front is going to be essential. I'd imagine with the DRS straights, the moment you drop out, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. And Drogon has unfortunately dropped out.
Yeah, dropping out. Just as you say, dropping out, he drops out the session again, and this is so unfortunate. He's looking like he's got some serious pace around here, and of course the connection issues strike just when it's at the worst possible time. But Lawrence, who's your winner today? Who do you think's going to win this race?
Anyone but Sumo.
Well, you heard it here first. If Sumo wins, then Lawrence will have been as wrong as he could possibly have been. There is no being more wrong than that. But everyone getting their setups ready. I do wonder what tyres people are going to start on here, but we're about to get underway here. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway here in Australia. It's a good start from Enchilada Dad from pole position. We're RJ nearly into the wall further back there off the start. But off they go. Enchilada leads through turns 1 and 2. Sumo just behind. Drogon still kicking in P3. Wumax and RJ, although Drogon lost a position there to Wumax as they went down towards turn 3. But Enchilada leads from from Sumo, Wumax, Drogon, RJ, Extrek still in P6. Triku Bidayak struggling to hold off Aces, who gets through for P7 early in this race as they all go single file towards the end of Sector 1. Although I say single file, that's Alex G into the wall in the McLaren. I'm not sure what's happened there, but it's caused a VSC, so everyone will slow right down. Tears up to P16 from the start. Let's have a quick look at the details here. So most of the grid starting on the medium tyres, only Denko, Robsu and Aces going for the hards here. Tier gets a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag. He got it removed last week. He won't this time because they'll have to serve it in the pit lane. So disaster for the Sauber driver. But let's have a look at positions gained. It is 2 positions gained for Jonathan, Antone and Robsu, as well as Krauser and Tier and Wumax. And then the worst start of the lot, of course, goes to Alex G, but JB as well. Continues his run of poor starts really this season, down 3 positions on lap 1.
Yeah, JB is. I thought he'd have been really strong around here. It looks like he's put in the practice, and to be 13th, I know JB will be sat there kicking himself really, but he's still in the hunt. It's a long race. He's just got to be calm and pick off the positions. Tier is retired.
Oh, it's because he's left. The game's DNF'd him. And I think that is going to be the end of Sauber's Constructors' Championship challenge, unfortunately for them. But Enchiladad heads through Sector 2. He's got a poor restart, though, and Sumo's down the inside. What a restart from the VSC for Sumo Gilligan. And he takes the lead from the Sauber driver. And that is incredible anticipation from the British driver. And Enchilada is going to have to fight his way back through now. Womack's sniffing around as well on the back of that Sauber driver as they head towards turn 13. Here comes the Bulgarian. He's using the ERS and he sends it to the inside of turn 13, but Enchilada leaves him just enough room. I don't think Womax is going to get that done through 14. No, indeed he isn't. Triku loses another place and has contact with Antone and is sent round into the wall and out of the race. Oh no, it's a full safety car. And Triku Bidayak will be desperately disappointed with that. But I'm not sure how that happened. That's going to have to be one for the stewards, but he is, I'm sure, going to be extremely unhappy with Antone for that particular incident. But I'm not quite sure who was at fault there. Of course, we only get to see it once in the box and from an inopportune angle. So that is one for the stewards later on. But wow, goodness gracious me. What an electric start to this race, and now things will all calm down a little bit.
Alex has used one of his 9 lives to feel the cat. He's back in the hunt with the safety car out. The field's already pretty much bunched up quite early on now because the timing of the safety car, so pitting isn't really an option now for the people behind the safety car. I don't think the hards will get you they might get you to the end from here, but I think you'll be really struggling. Depending on what the weather's going to do in this, this track relies heavily on traction as well, so you really want to keep your tyres as fresh as possible.
Indeed you do, and well, I wonder if any of the front runners will come into the pits here. Any of the drivers on the medium tyres, whether they'll try and go to the end on the hards or transition to a 2-stop. It's very possible either way. It is maybe a little early to think about a 2-stop, I think. But maybe you can get to the hards to the end from here and have enough pace to deal with drivers stopping later. But Sumo's going to be the one in the hot seat here. He makes the first decision, and theirs depending on what he does. And Drogon, oh no, that's the second victim of the EA glitch. As Extract into the pits and gets a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag because he entered the pits and overtook drivers doing it even though he was going into the pits. Another EA quirk, but clearly Extract was not aware of that particular one. He is going to go onto the hard tyres, but he will be in last place, and luckily for him the 10-second penalty isn't actually going to mean all that much.
Yeah, that 10-second penalty is irrelevant really. He's going to be at the back anyway, so maybe a lesson learned for him. Maybe it's just a little tip for the future if there's another safety car in this race. You want to be picking the moments for pit stops clearly.
Indeed you do, indeed. Drogon says he's done in the chat. With presumably his internet or the game kicking him out. I don't know what's happened there, but it's so unfortunate. I still can't believe that EA have not fixed this bug with drivers getting retired for disconnecting from sessions, because it's been in the game for nearly 2 years now, or at least 1.5 years, and it's crazy that it's still here. But Tia says he had no feedback on his controller, so thought he would leave and come back, but it DNF'd him. And Drogon, a similar story. He left because he was too laggy trying to fix something to restart his PS. And he comes back and he's DNF'd as well. So yeah, so unfortunate. I won't take anything away from your race elo for this race for either of you, because that's just, no one wants to see that.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling it's more to do with EA and the servers and F124 this year. They're just not reliable at all.
Quite possibly. Well, here we go. The safety car is in this lap, and it's going to be Sumo Gilligan who leads the way here. Got 6 people watching his restart here, so all the pressure's on, all eyes on the McLaren driver as he heads through the final corner. When is he going to punch it? I'm going to ride on board with Enchilada, Dad, to see if he can do to Sumo what Sumo did to him, but Sumo gets it perfectly on the restart, and Enchilada down towards turn 1 is nowhere near, so Sumo leads through turn 1 on lap 5 after the early safety car, and Womack is putting all the pressure on Enchilada. He's looking to the inside of turn 3. Does he send it? No, he backs off sensibly, does the Bulgarian, and stays behind the Irishman for now. But it's an Alpine 3-4, the 2 reserves doing very well at the moment. Aces versus Kings on the hard tyres doing well as well in P5, under a bit of pressure from his teammate though, as they head through sector 2. Sumo still leads, but here comes Womack again, using more of that ERS in his tank as they head hurtling down towards turn 10. Can Womack make a move, or can Enchilada make a move? He looks to the inside. Sumo cuts him off, and Enchilada has to back out of that one very swiftly, but I'm not sure he'll be too pleased about Sumo's positioning as they head towards turn 13. Again, Sumo blocks off the Sauber driver, and the brick wall living up to his reputation here.
Yeah, I think the first move was pretty fair. I don't think there was space on the inside anyway, just at a first glance. Yeah, maybe just Enchilada had just a warning shot that he's there, but DRS will be activated on the next lap, and we will see what Enchilada's dad can do. He sets the fastest lap as well, so he's clearly got the pace to try and dispatch Sumo here.
He does indeed. Extrek, by the way, still at the back of the field, but sticking in this long DRS train now. 15 cars as Womack sweeps to the outside, then the inside, but still doesn't send it into turn 3. But Enchilada has got to look behind him as well as in front here. Womack's putting all the pressure on, and the reserve today looking for a very strong result, perhaps getting himself on the podium as once again for the 6th time they head towards turn 10. Down the straight they go. It's going to be DRS enabled now. Is Enchilada close enough to Sumo to make a move? He's going to be very close here, but he doesn't send it into turn 10. He decides to wait, live to fight another day, I think, because a move there would not have worked from that far back. And once again, they head in single file towards the final sector. But everyone now on this grid right together. Extract looking to the inside of Alex as Robsu's into the wall, and that could be big news for 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship. Not sure what's happened to the Finnish driver, but he's down to last place with no front wing, or it's at least surely some damage to that Williams. And Sumo setting the fastest lap, but Aces just behind on the hard tyres, doing very well as well. But he's got to think about the undercut here, because all those medium tyre runners, if they pit before him, they're going to cause him a world of grief. But he's managed to gap Jack Alaka here. 1.5 seconds now between the 2 V-carbs, and this long train is split into 2 as Extrek down the inside of Alex G into turn 4. It's a beautiful move from the champion, and he's up to 13th place on those hards that he will surely be intending to take to the end.
Let's keep our eyes on Extrek. Obviously he's made this pit stop at the moment, and he's in the hunt here with the rest of the field. Once they start peeling in, we'll see how much of an advantage he's got.
Enchilada around the outside of Sumo at turn 10. What a move from the Irishman. Is Sumo going to have the DRS down to 13? I don't think so, no. And he's going to be under pressure from Womack now. Oh, big contact as they head towards 13. Somehow, Womack stays on the track. I do not know how he is still pointing in the right direction. But Aces takes advantage as well. But Womack swoops around the outside. Aces tries to cut back on the inside towards the penultimate corner. But it's brilliant defending from Womack. Although now 1.1 seconds behind, he's going to be vulnerable on the run to turn 3 here. As RJ now setting the fastest lap, and here comes Sumo looking to the inside, but he backs out in the end. RJ there as well, but Womack's back in DRS, and he's going to be wanting to get back into this battle as Enchilada. Oh, Sumo! Oh no! Contact between Sumo and RJ. I think RJ is going to be having a word to the stewards about that one. That might be some moving under braking from Sumo, perhaps, but that is one for the stewards. RJ, in fact, leaving the session at the moment. Cavalry Cavalis getting past Anton, by the way, for P7. RJ, of course, plummeting down the grid, but battle for the lead. Here we go, Enchilada and Sumo. There's battles happening all over the grid. We can't catch them all. We'll have to focus on the top two. Enchilada on the inside of Sumo, sweeps around the outside, and contact, and somehow Enchilada's still facing the right way. I think Sumo's going to have to respond to quite a few stewards reports later on. Aces versus Kings, meanwhile, has got himself to third place with Jack Alacco in P4, and now Sumo's going to look to try and take advantage of that 1 second gap. But here comes the pole sitter back within range. Is he going to have DRS down to turn 1? That's the question, because if he doesn't, no, he does, but it is a double DRS, so if he doesn't get it to turn 1, he won't get it to turn 3 either, as RJ rejoins, but he's already lost a ton of positions, unfortunately. Aces versus Kings putting the pressure on with those hard tyres. What a drive he's having at the moment, and he goes to the inside of turn 3, and Enchilada just lets him go. But he switches him back, actually does the Sauber drive around the outside of 4, and brilliant defence from Enchilada, Dad. But look at what's happened. 1.4 seconds to Sumo. Aces' job is done. He's lost Enchilada the DRS, and now he should be able to get him very cleanly on the run to turn 10.
Yeah, Aces is right on the back of Enchilada, Dad. Here he's opened his DRS. I wonder if the hard tyres crossover is beginning to kick in now, as Aces is going to work on homing in Sumo Gilligan for P1.
Indeed he is, but he's going to have to be careful here. Jack Alacco as well, finding his way through, and it's a brilliant day for VCarb at the moment. 2 and 3. What a race they're having, and Ench could be under more pressure here. Womax tries to go to the inside, and that's a third victim of the disconnect DNF glitch, as RJ now out of this race. That is unfortunate for him as well, but look, by the way, who is having an amazing race right now. Cavalis up 9 positions in that Mercedes, as he looks to be the lead Mercedes for the first time this season. But Extrek sets the fastest lap on those fresh hard tyres, and he is not going away at this stage. We're not even halfway through this race, so a long way to go.
Yeah, we just started lap 10. Aces is slowly working on bringing in Sumo. Jack Alacco's in contention. As you said, Cavalis, we're not used to seeing the Mercedes in this order at the moment. Once he pits, it'll probably switch back round to some sort of normality for them, but Cavalis is racing out of his skin at the moment.
Indeed, and it's still Sumo who leads at this point. Aces not close enough to turn 10, as Womax does punish Enchilada, Dad. He gets past for P4, and the pole sitter down to 5th place now, having to fight his way back. He'll have to just stay in the train, maybe go for an undercut, and try and get past these guys in the pit stops, as Extrek now makes another move past Alex G for what I feel like is the 3rd time already today. And Sumo dropping positions. He's made a big mistake as Sumo, and he's lost a front left end plate. The race leader is down to 5th place with severe damage to his McLaren, and it's all gone wrong for the race leader. He's dropped all the way to P7. He's got wing damage as well. He should be able to get Anton here towards turn 3, but how long will it last? Denko looking to the inside as well. The Aston Martin taking full advantage of the McLaren's damage. But he goes round at turn 3 and just about stays on the track. Nearly brings Extrek with him there, but they've just about gotten through okay. And Sumo under heavy pressure here with that wing damage. Denko to the inside in the next corner, but he's going to have to wait for a better opportunity than that. Sumo is so slow in the corners, but Extrek here looking to take advantage, and the champion trying to show why he is the champion. Down the inside of both cars perhaps, but no, Sumo actually puts on the afterburners and stays ahead. Extrek up to P8, and Denko down to 9th, as Anton, what's been happening there, Sumo? Lawrence.
Jonathan's got front wing damage. I didn't see who went into the back of. I think it was Extrek. Unfortunately, Jonathan's got front wing damage. If I was Jonathan and Sumo, I'll be boxing as soon as possible.
And Denko's dropped a couple of positions as well. Extrek down the inside of the former race leader, but Sumo into the pits. And Extrek up to P7 now as a result of that. And it's going to be Alex putting the Mercedes man under pressure. Denko is still there in P8 as well. A lot of people leaving the session. I don't know what's happening down at the bottom of the screen. I'm not going to pay attention to it anymore. But Extrek a little wide through turn 1 there, putting pressure on Anton now for P5, and Anton very slow. Oh, actually lagging and leaving the session. And so many people leaving the session. I don't know what is wrong with EA at the moment, because it's a different lobby host as well. We tried thinking that it was JB's connection last week, but Jacko's hosting this week, and still the issues persist, so I don't know what is happening with EA at the moment. But Denko is up to P7 in the meantime, as Anton's AI plummets down the field. But it's, look who's the race leader, Lawrence. While we were paying attention to all of that in the midfield, Jack Alacco leads the Australian Grand Prix, and it's a VCARB 1-2 with Womax just behind, and then a comfortable gap to Cavalis, who is 1.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Extrek, who's looking to fight his way through, and is still on those hard tyres. He's already pitted, remember, so he is in a great position here as the champion. And Alex G under pressure from Denko as well.
I wonder if their team orders will come into play at Mercedes here, or will Extract let Cavalis show his true pace here? Orders to be inherits the race lead for the time being. As you said, it all depends on how powerful the undercut will be for Aces. He's got a lot of work to do in the second stint.
Indeed, Jacko comes out the pits. Where's Enchiladadad, who's already pitted? He is well down on the VCARB driver. 1.5 behind, 1.2, 1.1. Could he get in DRS before the run to turn 10? He is at the moment, but can he stay there is the question, as Robsu gets ahead of Anton's AI. Meanwhile, as he's looking for a recovery drive at the moment, as Enchiladadad staying with Jacko for now, almost cutting turn 5 there as they head hurtling down towards the DRS zone, and it is going to be DRS enabled for the Irishman, and 7 tenths between him and Jacko, so that undercut has been relatively okay for him. The two Mercedes swap positions. Could that be team orders? Most likely, I would say. Extrek now up to 3rd place, and Cavalis down to 4th, but the Lithuanian is having his, I think, his best drive of the season so far, and hopefully that hasn't just cursed him. Womax into the pits, and Cavalis in as well, just as I say it. So that is all the remaining medium runners except for Anton's AI, but even that comes into the pit lane. So that is all the remaining medium tyre runners now have come into the pits, and Extarek is going to have the net race lead here by quite some margin after the hard tyre runners make their pit stops.
Yeah, I believe, Extract is currently in net P1 once the pit stops do start taking their formalities. And then it would be Enchiladadad, and looking at the mini-map, if they see where Extract is in comparison to where they are, their heart's going to sink.
Yeah, but Extract's tyres are going to get worse and worse as the race goes on, but we know this is Extract's favourite track. Ench has gotten ahead of Jacko, by the way, while we weren't watching, and Jacko's just going to have to try and stick with him with the DRS and hope he drags him up the field. But Alex and Jonathan have pitted. They both pitted on lap 1. So in theory, they could take those hard tyres to the end as well. So actually, it's really a net P4 for Enchiladadad at the moment. As long as Alex and Jonathan take those tyres all the way, but that is going to be a tall order. It's already a tall order for Extract, and their tyres are 2 laps older than his, so we'll see if they can manage to do it. But Denko and Aces definitely have to come in, as well as Robsu as well. They're in P6.
Yes, the story is unfolding slightly now, so find out who's going to fall into which position. And you are right, it's looking like it's going to be Extract and Jonathan and Alex are going to be the front runners. It's all depends on whether the fresh tyres can close the gap. Traction around here is going to be the key.
Indeed it is. And the champion, well, it is his favourite track. But even so, race without the racing line, and still he has the best strategy and everyone falls around him. It's once again the Extract force field in full swing. But Aces, 3.5 seconds at the head of this field now. Surely, I would think into the pits this lap. Jacko gets a track limits penalty. That's going to cost him quite dearly, I think, as he gets past Enchilada in towards turn 13. Down the inside he goes, and he's up to P7, but I think they're going to hope to work together here as Jacko makes a mistake, and that's not working together. That's going to cost them time if the lead car makes mistakes. Krauser now retires, and he's binned it. He's binned it, and that's a safety car. And suddenly this race is looking like anything but a formality for the champion. Extrek is going to be way down on where he was hoping to be. Well, he's still going to be at the front, but he's not going to be as comfortable as he was. And now those who haven't pitted yet, Aces and Denko and Robsu, are suddenly in brilliant positions. They will still lose a bunch of positions as the grid is so close together, but it's looking a lot better for them now, and that is huge. Although it may be removed in the stewards, it was under safety car, so we'll see. But Extrac, clearly, without the racing line, it does make track limits a lot more difficult, and Extrac perhaps feeling that already.
Yeah, probably just got one eye on the Delta, and just making sure he's within the green, and not pushing the car too much. 3-second time penalty. I'd much rather that than a drive-through for speeding under the Delta.
That's very true, very, very true. And Ace is now into the pits, I would have thought. Yeah, there we go. In he goes for the medium tyres to the end. Extrek also in. I think this is going to be everyone except for maybe Jacko downwards. They've got a decision to make, but certainly all of the top 6 are going to be in here for the mediums. Jonathan and Robsu. What about Jacko? Yeah, he's in as well. Could it be everyone? No, Enchilada stays out. Womack stays out both on their hard tyres. JB in. Cavalis staying out. What about Sumo trying to have a bit of a comeback drive? He stays out as well. Is he going to even gain many positions here? Due to the Delta, I wonder. He's heading out now. There's cars heading out the pits, but Sumo's only up to P9 as a result of staying out. I think he may regret that. He might even come in at the end of the next lap, because the safety car won't be in until at least the end of lap 18. So decisions to make for Sumo and possibly Cavalis as well. But Enchilada and Womax have taken the gamble. They've up to P2 and 3, and Extrax just behind on fresh mediums. That is going to be a difficult driver to keep behind. With Alex G as well in a good position in 5th place, and Denko doing well in the Aston Martin in 6th, and Robsu, after that crash earlier on in this race, is suddenly back in it.
You can never rule out Robsu. He's always there when it comes to the sharp end of the business. He had a bit of a rough start, and we see him going to the barrier and damage his front wing, but he is back in the game.
He certainly is. Well, safety car won't be in, like I said, until at least the end of lap 18. So we've got a little chance to comment on everyone's strategies. Well, Aces is in the best position by far. He is on fresh medium tyres in the lead of the race, and if he can gap Enchilada early on, then he is going to be the driver to beat. But plenty of laps still to go. There's going to be at least 12 laps to go when the safety car comes in, or 11 laps to go, I should say. So plenty of time to make a mistake, but this is going to be a huge help, this safety car, to those medium tyre runners. And wow, who can call a winner now? Ace is in the best position, but Extrek, if he can dispatch of Ench and Womax quickly, then with his race pace today, he might well be in with the best shout as well. So he does have that 3 seconds, but it's debatable whether that gets removed in stewards, Lawrence, as the last warning was picked up under safety car. He's just to be careful not to pick up any more.
Yeah, he's got to try try his best to keep it within the white lines now. I did notice that Cavalis and Sulo didn't box. Seems a bit costly that I would have probably boxed and just lost a few positions and been on equal ties with everyone around me.
Indeed. Well, safety car, I believe, should be in this lap. Anton catches back up. He is back in his car after disconnecting earlier on, so that's good news for the Red Bull driver, and he'll have a chance to try and pick his way through the rest of the grid. But Jack Alacco, I think, is the biggest loser out of all of this. Look at this. He is down to P11 with a track limits penalty after running in first place just as little as 4 laps ago. And he's going to be absolutely gutted with how this has transpired. But there's still chances for him, but yeah, it's going to be very difficult for the Scottish driver from here on out. Meanwhile, his teammate leads the way as the safety car gets ready to come into the pit lane. I'm going to ride on board with Enchilada, not for the first time this race. At a safety car restart, he is sitting in second place, and the pole sitter will be hoping he can use those hard tyres to good effect, but it's going to be a struggle against the fresh mediums.
It's going to be a few qualifying laps now for Aces just to try and open the gap, and hopefully X-Direct gets held up behind Enchilada and Wumax to help Aces pull out the gap, because he will be looking for revenge on Spain earlier in the season.
Oh, he's gone.
Aces bolts.
There we go, and he's caught Enchilada napping a bit, and there's plenty of other drivers who've been caught napping further down the grid. I see a couple side by side. Jack Alacco trying to make a move on Jonathan around the outside of turn 1. What an overtake from Jack Alacco, up to P9 than the Season 10 champion, showing his worth here. There's more cars side by side up ahead as Robsu sweeps around the outside of Denko. They make contact through turn 3, but Robsu has the inside for 4, and he makes the move. Brilliant stuff from the Williams driver. Jonathan's down to 12th. He's had a bit of an incident or a mistake or something, but he's got a time penalty as well for good measure, as now Cavalis under pressure from Jack Alacco. JB there or thereabouts as well, but he has not been on the pace today, as here comes the Scottish driver. I'm keeping an eye on the gaps up front as well. Aces has not managed to gap Enchilada at all, and X-Rec hasn't made any progress either, so those hard tyres looking like a very good tyre in this race at the moment. But here comes Jacko. He's going to look to the inside, possibly the outside. No, he backs out of it. He used some ERS. He was thinking about it, but Cavalis defends well, and Jacko has to settle for P9 for now, but he's almost pushing the Mercedes through the corner. He looks to the inside for the penultimate, but he has to back out of it. Cavalis shows him the outside line, and Jacko's all too happy to take it. Brilliant racing between the two. They're still side by side as they head to turn 1. That is fantastic, hard racing from Cavalis, but Jacko is equal to the challenge, and he's up to P8. Absolutely brilliant from the Season 10 champ, and he's looking to make a staunch recovery drive here.
Yeah, Jack Alacco's he's got the meat between his teeth at the moment. He is taking chomps out of the cars in front of him. He is really beginning to put the pressure on. This is why he was a champion. He's got it in him to get dirty when he needs to.
Indeed he does, and talking of getting dirty, that's what X-Trek needs to do now, is he's in this DRS train. Here comes Enchilada out on the back of Aces, who has not pulled a gap at all with those fresh medium tyres, and Enchilada on the inside forces Aces to take a wide line, but he can't take advantage, and in fact Wumax down the inside on the run to 13. What a move from Wumax. It's nearly 3 wide into the corner. Wumax on the inside, Enchilada sweeps around the outside. It's brilliant racing between all these drivers, but it's Wumax who gets ahead into second place, and X-Trek under pressure from both drivers behind him. It's 3 wide into the penultimate corner. Alex loses the place to Robsu, who's also on the move. He's up to 5th place, but Alex on the inside for turn 1, and is Robsu going to have to back out of this, or can he do a Jack Alacco move around the outside? No, he can't. He stays behind, and Enchilada makes the move on Wumax, and this is perfect for Aces, who's now pulled a 1.3 second gap due to all this battling. X-Trek now looking looking to the inside of the Alpine for turn 3, and it's a good move from the champion, and he is up to 3rd place, but Womack's back at him, and there's contact as they head through turn 4, and Womack is ghosted, and Robsu's going to try and drive through him here to get to P4, but it's Extrek back onto the podium here, and Womack stays in that 4th place, but he's running low, very low on ERS, and Robsu's going to see that flashing red light. He's going to know the Alpine is vulnerable, and he looks to the inside. So does Alex G as well, trying to find his way through on the inside, but Womack covers him off and stays in P5, but Robsu now up to 4th place after his mistake earlier, but a big mistake out of turn 11, and they head towards 13. It's going to be 3 wide, perhaps. Alex looking to the inside, to the middle of the 2 cars. That would be a foolish move to try, and he doesn't do it, and Robsu stays ahead. Alex to the inside. It's non-stop action, Lawrence.
I can't keep up with it. It's literally all the way from Robsu down, just battling to get onto the podium here. Extrek has pulled out a gap. He's closing in on Enchilada Dad here, and Aces. It looks like we're going to have a 3-way shootout for the race win as well.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. And Extrek does have that penalty, but remember, it's dubious whether it'll get removed in stewards. I don't know. He might get another warning, but we will see. Alex down the inside of Womack. It was an ambitious move, and he pays the price. Contact between him and the Alpine, and now Denko's trying to find his way through. He drives through the McLaren to get to P6, and last week's debutant is having a great race here in Australia, up to 6th place after a disappointing qualifying for him, but Alex is going to be back at him with ERS. None of them really have got anything left in the tank. Cavalis trying to pick his way through in the Mercedes as well. Alex to the outside. Cavalis needs to find some space here. Can he find it? He backs out very sensibly. Good stuff from the Lithuanian, and Jacko's going to be at him as well. JB, Antone, Jonathan as well in the background. Sumo's a long way down the grid. Jackalacco tries to go around the outside of 2 cars, and he makes the move up to P7. Absolutely insane overtakes from Jackalacco in this final stint. He's up to 7th place. They're all bunched together behind him. The 2 Red Bulls going wheel to wheel. Antone and Jonathan still side by side, but Antone stays ahead. This is astonishing stuff. We haven't even looked at the top 3 in ages, but it's all happening in the midfield. Robsu's 2 seconds behind. Could he catch up perhaps? I don't know. I think that gap's gone up since we last checked, Lawrence. So Robsu battling for P4 perhaps in this race, but what a recovery it would be if he can keep it.
It certainly would be. I'll be really impressed with P4 for Robsu at the moment. Just on board with Extrek at the moment. He's he turned his DRS off, and he's got 100% at the moment, and the front 2 are sitting about 50% roughly. Yeah, Extrek is doing his usual party trick here. He's just sitting behind happily just to apply the pressure, and he's going to unleash his ERS soon.
He certainly is, and Antone makes a move on JB at turn 10. Womack's on Robsu as well as Enchilada and Aces wheel to wheel, and it's the Irishman who takes the lead, and Extrek trying to look to the inside of Aces, but he backs sensibly out of that. He knows there's still 6 laps to go at the end of this one somehow in this race. It seems like we've done 3 races worth of action today, and we've still got 6 laps to go, but it's going to be Enchu leads now as Extrek burns some of that ERS down to turn 1, but doesn't choose to send it for now, and the gap to Womack still at about 2 seconds as Jacko makes another daring overtake. Absolutely astonishing drive from Jackalacco at the moment in this final stint. He is just putting non-stop outrageous overtakes out there. JB is round meanwhile at the exit of turn 2, so he's down to 12th place and out of the battle, but Jackalacco, I mean, he may have a 3-second penalty, but at this point, if the way he's driving, he could win this race somehow.
Yeah, it's
here comes Extrek. Down the inside, sorry to interrupt you, Lawrence, of Aces versus Kings. He's made the move as the champion. He looks to the outside of Enchilada as well. The turn 10, he makes it happen. Absolutely astonishing from the champion. And this is why he has won 7 out of 8 races this season. Jacko makes another move up to P5 now on Womack. There's more yellow flags further back. I think that's for Antone. But Extrek now leads this race. And those 12-lap hold hard tyres for Enchilada are going going to be struggling at this point. He needs to stay in the DRS, but X-Trek has been so fast on race pace. You have to think it's going to be a struggle.
Well, I'd say X-Trek is Jacko at the moment. I was just about to compare Jacko's drive to Lewis Hamilton on Sunday around Vegas. You wonder if he was in a stronger position, he would be up there at the moment, potentially winning the race.
I know who my driver of the day is at the moment, Lawrence, and it's none of the top three.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm thinking along the same lines as you, and even there's 5 laps to go, it's done, dusted.
1.2 seconds now. That was 2 seconds not that long ago. Jacko set the fastest lap as well on that previous lap, so he's got the extra point in the bag unless JB can get it. He's pitted for the soft tyres at the end to try and snatch it away, but the way Jacko's driving, I think that's going to be a tall order for JB. Cavalis, meanwhile, down the inside of Alex for P8, he's putting in a brilliant performance as well in that Mercedes. You've got to hand it to him. This is a fantastic drive from Cavalis so far. Even if it's not his best position of the season so far, we've got action further up as Robsu and Womack are side by side, and this is going to help out Jack Alako as with his 3-second penalty. Mistake from Robsu on the curb, but Womack's just about staying in DRS, much to the chagrin, I'm sure, of the Scottish driver. But 1.4 to the top 3, all it takes is another little battle, and Jacko will be up there with them. And you have to fancy him at this stage. He may have the 3 seconds, but he's going to be absolutely gutted to have them as well, the way he's driving. Without that penalty, he would definitely be in the conversation for this win. But with it, I think it's going to make it very, very tough.
Yeah, I know Ace is in the race win here, but surely I would be considering just dropping back slightly to give Jacko the DRS and pull him into the fight and just try and have a 2-3 lap shootout for the win here. X-Trek hasn't made as much progress as I thought he would. Dad's on those 14 lap old hard tyres, but he's still hanging on to the back of him quite comfortably. This race isn't done yet.
Yeah, and look at X-Trek's ERS as well. He's got nothing left. He was trying desperately to get out of DRS range of the Sauber, but he hasn't managed to do it. Meanwhile, Cavalis, oh no, I've cursed him. He's down to P10. I think he's made a mistake in turn 10 or 11, and he is down. Way down from Alex and Jonathan now, and that's such a shame. What a drive he was having today. But Denko, meanwhile, are putting Robsu under pressure. Alex makes a big mistake into the penultimate corner. I think he locked the rears. But Robsu up there in 6th with Womax and Denko and Jack Alako, who's now losing time to the top 3. As soon as they stopped battling, that was pretty much it for Jacko. He hasn't been able to close the gap. 3 laps to go, though, in this thrilling Australian Grand Prix. You're absolutely right in the chat with the fire emoji. It's a great way to describe this crazy race so far. And the Drivers' Championship may already be wrapped up, and the Constructors as well, with Tier DNFing today. But it doesn't stop Tier 2 from putting on an incredible show, and JB does manage to steal that fastest lap away from Jacko.
The Hunter has become the Hunted, it looks like, for P1 at the moment. X-Trek is... Oh, I think those tyres and Enchilada Dad have just... they're past their sell-by date now.
Here comes Aces. Looking to take advantage, down the inside of turn 13, he locks the rears, but he gets the move done, but loses the rear on exit, and is this going to be the X-Trek force field again? No, Aces stays just about with him, but still, they've lost quite a lot of time. Where's the detection point? I don't think he got DRS, actually, Aces. No, he didn't, so nothing for Aces down to turn 1 or 3, and it's going to be hard for him now to keep with X-Trek. He may have used all his ERS in the Mercedes, but the race pace he's had today has been phenomenal, and 1.2, and it's again the X-Trek force field in full play. Enchilada and Aces having a battle between themselves when they needed to work together, and all it's done is cost them a chance to stay in the DRS of the race leader. And he may have 3 seconds, but you can't take those for granted. They can always get removed in stewards if there was a bogus warning, and we know one of the warnings he got was definitely, almost certainly bogus. Jonathan meanwhile is round at turn 4, and he's down to 12th place. But yeah, Aces and Enchilada costing each other here. But look who's joined the party. Womax and Jackalacco now in this train for 2nd place, and it's now become a train for 1st place as Aces regains the 1 second range, but he's got to keep it down towards the next few corners now if he wants the DRS down to turns 1 and 3. This is going to be a mighty battle for the race lead if he can keep it. 9.5 tenths, it's going to be so close. Oh, I don't know if he got it. The detection point was right there. We're going to find out in just a second. Does it open up? Yes, it does! He just about got it. So it's game on the last lap here. Denko getting past Robsu in the background there, fighting it out for P6 as well. But the Aston Martin driver on a charge too. Jackalacco trying to gap them with 3 seconds. It's 2.8 at the moment, so Jacko still could be on for top 5 here as the 2 McLarens swap further down the road. Extrac leads, but how much can he hold on? Aces is going to have the DRS surely, unless Extract can find some time here, and he does. 1 second is the gap as the detection point's coming up right now, and no DRS for Aces, and he's now going to be very vulnerable to the Irishman behind and to Womax, who's got so much more ERS than both of them. Womax could snatch it off them here.
Well, Enchilada does making his move, and Womax is on his tail as well. Womax will be looking, staying on the back of Enchilada here, and they're both pushing so hard they can smell a race win.
Here comes Womax to the inside of the Irishman. They head into turn 13. It's a brilliant move, but he's gone off the road, and Aces is round. Aces has binned it on the final lap in the final sector, and not for the first time this season. But it's Extract who's going to come around the final corner. He's going to win it on track, but it's going to be P3 in the end, I think, as Womax comes to the line to win the Australian Grand Prix. Enchilada P2 from pole position. Jackalacco, what a driver of the day easily from the Scottish driver. That was an outrageous comeback in the final stint. Denko with a great result, P5. He beats Robsu by less than a tenth to the line. Great little drag race between them. Aces is going to be absolutely gutted with himself to miss out on that podium entirely. Cavalis recovers to P8. Anton 9th. Sumo will be desperately disappointed with P10. Alex G won't be too far behind him in P11. He'll be upset as well. Jonathan down in 12th, and JB snatched the fastest lap, but it's P13 for the Ferrari driver as the battle for P3 or P2 or P3 in the Drivers' Championship is hotting up. The game gives driver of the day to Denko. Fair enough. He had a good drive as well, but for us, it's got to be Jacko.
Yeah, Jackalacco is making the moves. Otherwise, I think Denko would have been with a hell of a shout. His second race in APP, and he is looking very comfortable making himself at home early doors.
He certainly is. What a race here in Australia. That was unbelievable stuff. It's so hard to keep track of all the action, especially that first stint. We had a 15-car DRS train, for 15-plus car DRS train for... it was probably 10 laps straight, if not more. But it's what a win for Womax. Out of nowhere there, takes it. Unless Extract gets his penalty removed. He might well do, I'm not sure. So while we're here at the race director, I'm just going to have a quick look. See if he got any more warnings. Oh, he didn't. So I think Extract is going to take the race win again. But it is Womax for now who takes the race victory from Enchilada and Extract on the podium. Then it's Jacko, Denko, Robsu, Aces, Cavalis, Anton, Sumo, Alex G, Jonathan and JB, the last of the finishers, with Krauser, RJ, Drogon, Triku and Tia not finishing the race, whether by a crash or by a disconnect DNF glitch. Who knows? But wow, what a race. We're going to get interviews with, well, we'll at least get Enchilada. I don't think we'll get Womax, I'm sure. But wow, what a race.
Best race of the season by a country mile.
Yeah, not far off.
we was blessed with a great race in Tier 1 on Friday around Austria, and we've also been blessed with probably one of the best races of the season so far in Tier 2 around Australia.
Indeed, we have. Well, I'm going to make sure we get at least Enchilada in for an interview. And I'll ask Wumax.
But yes, that was a superb race. Yeah, extract the force field cannot be broken, even by penalties. It cannot be stopped.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I mean, extract win or not, what a race it was. Enchilada has joined the party. I don't think we'll get Wumax, so I'll just go right ahead. It was a scintillating pole position in qualifying, even when it started to rain. But in the race, didn't quite go to plan, but still, you must be happy with another podium.
Yeah, because in quali, I think that was definitely the best lap I've done, so it wasn't a reflection of my pace in the end, so I'll take second overall.
Indeed, indeed. It was an incredible race from our perspective. I mean, up and down throughout. When that safety car came out and you stayed out on the hard tyres, did you know the hard was such a good tyre, or were you just taking a punt?
I just didn't want to drop that far, but I'd only been on for like 3 laps, so I thought it was probably the right thing to do, especially since there's people ahead who hadn't pit yet. Like, I was going to come out probably like 10th, 11th, something like that. So
Yeah,
I didn't
indeed.
really consider pitting.
Sorry, go on.
No, I just said I didn't consider pitting really.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, a brilliant performance all round, though, despite the loss of the win. And I think the hard tyre stints in this race are going to be some very good information for Tier 1 and Elite later this week. But yeah, did you were you expecting to fight for pole position today, or was that kind of out of nowhere that lap? Because as soon as the rain started coming down, we thought, well, that's it, no one's going to improve, and then you shoot up to the top of the timing tables and no one can beat you. So how was the last sector? It must have been tricky.
I didn't see any actual rain on my screen until 5 seconds after my lap was finished. It was obviously getting there, but I didn't see any visually, so I didn't really think about it. It didn't feel too different because it was already overcast for the earlier laps. So yeah, but I was expecting like maybe around the time that was P2, P3 was probably what I was aiming for, so I was definitely happy with the lap.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on another podium, Enchilada, as you close in on P2 in the driver's standings this season. Lawrence, do you have anything to ask our podium finisher?
Just 2 quick things. First of all, thank you for stopping Sumo Gilligan getting pole position. Thank you. That was, yeah, that's probably the highlight of my night. And also, just a second one. When you and Aces was fighting with Exarec, I mean, it's been touched on a couple of times this season now. Just people fighting when it comes to trying to take on Exarec. It just seems when you two was battling, Exarec just got the gap and kept you guys at bay in the end. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, you want to push the race win, but does there come a point where you think, actually, let's work together to take him down, or are you just gonna, fight to be ahead of who you're battling with?
He had the 3 seconds, so I was just taking that into account as well, assuming he couldn't get it removed.
Yeah.
When he overtook me, like he overtook both of us at the same time, it was a nice move. But I think I was just gonna like chill behind in second for as long as possible, like get close behind him but not pass. But I made a mistake one time and Ace got past me, and then I ended up giving Moomax DRS, which caused me to lose in the end, I guess.
Yeah. Ooh.
Go for it, Lawrence.
No, sorry, it's just saying I've been disconnected from PlayStation Network.
Oh, we can still hear you.
Yeah, no, I think that's everything. Congratulations on your podium, Enchiladas. It's getting a familiar interviewing you each week at the moment. So yeah, keep up the good work.
Yeah, but never first place interview though.
Keep going, it will come.
Thanks.
Indeed. Well, 4 podiums in a row for Enchilada, and 5 out of the last 6 races he's been on the podium. So he is on top form right now, and it's a good sign leading into next season. But Lawrence, wow. I mean, we've already discussed our driver of the day. Jacko, I think, takes it quite comfortably in the end. But, I mean, some great performances out there. Denko as well, good performance on his sort of second debut, his second race in the league. And Womax as a reserve as well, great drive from him. Cavalis until the end. So some good performances out there. A lot of drivers will be very happy, and a lot of drivers will be very, very upset with how that race transpired.
Yeah, I can think of a few drivers who will probably be a bit gutted at the end result there. There's also, obviously, let's not forget the drivers who disconnected. Obviously, we've had Drogon drop out, who, you know, was kind of robbed from a spectator point of view on how fast he could be. But there's a lot of positives from today as well. On to the finale. Can X-Rep be stopped? Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see. The finale will be in China next week. The Shanghai International Circuit will mark the final race of the season. The first time it has been a season finale in APPF1. And we'll see what races it brings. We've seen plenty of brilliant races in China in APP over the years. Some final, certainly more than one final corner battles for the win, and plenty of last dashes into the hairpin as well for the race lead into the last lap. So I hope we get more of that next week. But yeah, it's been a good season despite the domination of X-Rec. It's been a great season to watch. There's been some really, really good races, and it's been a pleasure being by your side in the commentary box, Lawrence, and looking forward to the finale.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me in the commentary box. Just to finish on, if that's anything to go by, if X-Rec turning his racing line off, it looks like the field will be bunched up quite nicely, moving ahead into next season. So long may it continue. But yeah, X-Rec, once he gets the hang of no racing line, it's going to be tough.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it. Next season is going to be fantastic, I think. Hopefully it rivals the insanity of season 12. But in the meantime, that is it from us for this week's racing. We've got Tier 1 on Friday and Elite on Sunday at this track as well. So make sure to tune in to those if you can. But in the meantime, thank you all ever so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your night and week. And it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
And we'll see you next week for the finale of APP Tier 2 Season 13. Goodbye.